Welcome back to the Intelligent Human Leadership Podcast. I am recording this the week of Christmas here as we round out 2024, almost there. And I've had some very powerful conversations the last couple days. In fact, one today where people have not had peace in their life. And we often hear about this season about peace, hope, love, joy. And so I'm going to dive into this episode a little bit to give you some practical ways that you can be leading yourself. And it's going to be inspired a bit by Advent. If you've ever heard of Advent before, it's a Christian focus of the holidays. And want to give you a framework to work from today and how we can cultivate personal peace and navigate the challenges of life with intentionality and really self-leadership. That's what we talk about on this podcast is that you're leading yourself so that you can lead others, whether it be at work or at home, wherever you may find yourself. And so the importance of self-leadership, particularly during the holidays, is super valuable. We have workplace stress, of course, because we're getting close to the end of the year, maybe family dynamics, maybe things haven't gone the way that we wanted to as we're landing here at the end of the year. We have our expectations are off. And how do we navigate that with peace and purpose? And so, one way we can do that is we just reflect here and take advantage, if you will, whether you're a Christian or not. That's my background. That's where I come from. But you don't have to be to understand and appreciate the framework that we have in Advent. Advent is a 4 week look toward Christmas, and you can look toward the end of the year. But really, what are we looking toward? And one of those weeks specifically is peace. Others are hope and joy and love and angels, if you will, that bring love and good news. So, what does that look like for you? How can we look at peace? And that's really what I want to focus in on today. And I've talked about this on previous episodes, even on the Business Roundtable podcast, if you follow along me there. But today I want to dive a little deeper personally and help you explore as you listen to this episode. It's going to be released actually on Christmas. That's my weekly commitment as I release them every Wednesday for you as a gift, and hopefully one that you can take to heart and that you would find peace even in the midst of some challenges. And so one of the ways we do that, and I offer a great free resource, doesn't cost anything. Just go to stewardyourbusiness.com/peace index, or just message me and I'll send it to you. It's based on this great book. For those of you who are watching, you can also check out the book, the Peace Index. It breaks it down, but it's a simple tool that you can look for where you may have peace or not in your life. And one of the big ones is, are you living in your purpose, aligning your actions with your values and priorities? Oftentimes we're not aligned there. In fact, we think we might, this is a big one for me, being clear about what my purpose is. Where am I going? What am I called to do? Where am I supposed to serve? Where's my heart called to bring others? And so living in your purpose is really important. Sometimes we can't articulate that well, or you've talked to many people and they're like, "Yeah, I'm just doing this job. It's not really feel like I'm living my true purpose." Well, think about that. When you're not living in your true purpose, your peace is going to diminish because inherently you're not leading yourself well. You've made choices maybe by default. This kind of things have happened, and you're like, well, I guess I could do that. I could do this, and not really living purposefully. And or we could be honestly living for a lot of other people. That's sometimes we think it is, but we're just living for others because of their agendas, what they have going on in their life. And so the peace index is a great tool, the assessment itself, to look at that, quantify, if you will, give you percentages on where you are in these areas and overall. Uh, Another one is your place. Now, here in the holiday season, we may be out of our normal place, our normal environment, maybe traveling. for vacation, or we may have visiting family, for example, and it's going to take us out of our normal, which could be good or it could be more stressful. Probably most of the time, it's going to be a little more stressful because it's out of your normal day to day experience. For some of you, hopefully, it may increase. Maybe you're going to come to the mountains here, where I live, up here in Southern California, and getting away from it and enjoying some of that, and giving you a little bit more peace. But other of you maybe traveling a lot, maybe sitting in the car. Think about this: where you find yourself physically contributes to your overall peace. And it starts with home. It starts with our work situation. How many of you can walk through a door and feel either greater peace and relief, or the opposite, just feeling like it's coming down upon you? It's like the weight is on you and you can just feel it. You ever walked into a room and didn't know what was going on exactly, but you could feel the shift, the difference in the energy? Usually it's the negative energy, although you can feel positive energy too. And so that place contributes to your overall peace. And when you don't have that aligned correctly, well, again, this is another area where your peace may be off. We also look at the people. Now, we have place, and we also have the people. They're in there as well, navigating our relationships. Or we like to say, what is your balance? How is it with your different people in your life? Is there a coworker that really just gets at you, or gets underneath your skin? They just say something, they're at you. Could be a spouse or a child sometimes too, where they're just really getting at you, and they know how to tip you to the where you're off balance and you lose peace. You go to fear, you go to anxiety, you go to worry, you go to doubt, you go to struggling um, you know, with these people in your life, right? So people make a big difference in the peace that you have in your life. And you've heard of toxic people. You've heard of people that are a blessing, that will give light. They're just so fun and warm to be around. So encourage you to think about that. And then provision is another one. Or think about this as your financial or material need. Now, this is a big one too, because oftentimes, you might have heard of this understanding of kind of the pyramid of needs and where we're at on things. And we don't have our basic necessities. Well, it could be very difficult to find peace. Doesn't mean that you can't, but it can be very difficult when you're left wanting for basic uh, material needs. If you're wondering your paycheck to paycheck, right? You're not sure how I'm going to cover these bills. This directly affects your peace. And ultimately, it goes into your physical well-being too, your physical health. So we kind of have these 5 areas, but physical health is just how are you taking care of your body? Again, if your provision's not there, that's obviously going to contribute. If you don't have enough resources to take care of yourself, that's a big deal. That is stressful, and we need to make sure we help those that are in need. We need to be looking for ways that we can come alongside those that are not in a good place, that need help. And so when we look at these, we connect these together. I'm just tying this in because it's the holiday season, but Advent ties into one of these main themes is peace. And how do we prepare, and how do we address the barriers? I believe everybody truly wants peace. They just don't always how to get it. And the way that they react to, I'm going to break it down for you, external challenges first can be negative. It actually can contribute to more stress and less peace. So think about this as we're going through here at the end of the year. Workplace stress, right? Balancing year-end deadlines with your personal commitments. How are we going to get these all scheduled? How are we going to figure these all out, right? How do we set boundaries to managing workloads and protecting personal time? Um, this is difficult. This is challenging. It's not easy. And if you are doing this alone, you have a greater likelihood of probably dropping the ball, perhaps not doing it as well. That's why I come alongside as a coach and help you get clear on what's really important to you. Oftentimes we can lose sight of that, or if we're not careful. We get stressed about all these things that really at the end of the day don't matter that much, or at least they can be shifted. And we look at family dynamics as well, right? We have gatherings both at work, at home. We have to navigate potential conflicts there. People say don't talk about religion, don't talk about politics, right? But if you're being authentic and coming from a place of abundance and kindness and love and grace, I believe you can talk all about these things 'cause you're coming from a place of understanding. You're coming from a place to listen. You're coming from a place of peace. Again, we want to be able to prioritize quality time over perfection here. These family dynamics, these external things that are happening to us, right? And then happening to us, or how do we respond? How do we get to show up here? We want to practice planning ahead as best we can and kind of anticipate the things that might come, right? Use pauses to reflect and reset on focus what matters most. Breathing is really important. You're getting so emotionally charged that whether it be the physical place you find yourself, the people that you're dealing with, um, those are two big ones that can directly affect us externally. I want you to pause here and reflect on what you really, really want. What do you desire here? Know that somebody push your buttons quite, quite literally. They're pushing your buttons on you. Like they know how to push them. They can't see them, but they know how to push them. But use reflective pauses to reset and refocus on what matters most. When we look at these external things that are happening around us, we also face with internal challenges as well here. It's not just the external things, but as we become self-aware, we can reflect on these internal narratives, these stories that create stress or guilt during the season. And I want you to identify those because if they're not serving you well, if you're being stuck in stress and guilt, being preoccupied with worry and doubt, anxiety. Not that those things are all going to come at some point. Like I envision them as a wave. For those of you that live near the ocean or come here in California, where we got lots of waves, they crash, but they there's always another wave, and there's a calmness in between the waves. So recognize the waves will crash, but you're going to be okay. You'll be able to get through this. Again, this is internal, doing the work internal. Recognize how maybe unmet expectations or unresolved emotions may disrupt your peace. Again, you have control over this by the renewing of your mind, and that's what we're here about on the leadership intelligent human leadership podcast is to help you renew your mind to be better prepared and positioned to show up as the healthiest person in the room where you're being able to lift up people instead of pushing them down or belittling them in order to protect yourself and being defensive. We can let our guard down because we know we're in a better place. We know we can handle it. Um, and so be clear and practice mindfulness here. You could do this through journaling. I've talked about the stack tool, meditation. There's apps like Pause app or couple new ones out there, calm, abide, find one that works for you, prayer. These are things I do daily. It really helps center me, calm me down, and to be in a place to face the challenges that come. I've had some really intense conversations with people and the stress they're facing, the lack of peace. And I want to encourage you as you look internally, set realistic expectations, meaning focus on the things that you can actually do something about and that align with your values. A lot of times our peace is given away because it's things that we have no control over. A family member believes a certain thing politically and you don't believe that way and they're gonna be angry and they can't believe you and but you can show peace. You can show presence and know that I'm not going to be triggered by this person, whether wherever they land. I know that I'm going to come from a place of abundance and a sense of peace and calm and well-being. Think of that in the if I've never been in a tornado, but those of you that have or seen the movies, there's an eye of the storm, right? There's there's a tremendous storm going around, but in the middle of that storm, it's calmness. And that's what we wanna be. We wanna be able to move toward that. No, we're not always gonna be there. Sometimes we'll be closer to the fringe, sometimes we'll be sucked up into the whirlwind of that tornado. But hopefully, we can move out of that more intentionally as we become self-aware here. We practice these steps for inner peace. Use gratitude. Shift from that place of a deficit, of anger, anxiousness, to a place where we embrace the season's blessings that we have upon us. I like the Advent framework because we look at some things each week as we go. And Advent is just looking toward, in the Christian faith, we're looking toward the birth of a Savior that has come to love us and choose us. But what is it that you're looking forward to? What is that? Is it bringing you hope? Is it bringing you joy? Is it bringing you peace? Because if you're looking at something and it's not that, I would ask you to reconsider. Perhaps you're looking at the wrong thing. I talked about that real earlier on this episode is, looking at the wrong thing. That's the episode earlier in this season, I should say, when I was looking at the wrong thing and I had to readjust. Um, but we can start to move from you know, lack of a lack of a lack of presence, and when we move to gratitude, we can do that. And again, these remember these are these 5 domains that you can be looking at. When I say internal challenge, oftentimes that's more about your purpose that you're living. Are you aligned? Are you clear on that? Um, because a lot of things externally, there's a lot more things, place and people, perhaps even provision. Physical health can also be an internal, meaning like how are we going to take care of ourselves? That's mindfulness. That's gratitude, breathing, right? So those are some things we can do internally. And philosophically, we want to look at finding meaning in this particular season, but all seasons, but using this season right now during the holidays. What's the greater, deeper meaning right now for you? Um, you know, always we can look for a time of renewal, time of hope. Hopefully, it's a year-round thing, but oftentimes because we're coming near the end of the year and there's going to be a new year, there's always a sense of this. I think part of our human cycle. But I want you to reflect and consider like, how am I being renewed? Where is there hope? Because that again, if you're not finding that, then we need to look. Where would that be? Where would that be for you? In your purpose, in your place, in the people, your provision, your physical health. What might that be? Oftentimes we're sacrificing our physical health. I was challenged recently at a business um, seminar I was in, that am I sacrificing my greatest asset, my physical body, for work? And therefore, I'm losing peace because I'm not taking care of myself. I don't feel well, right? Think about how you're showing up. How are you leading yourself? And how does your peace line with this? Now, here's the thing, the body is a great example right now as we're going to all these different types of food, candies, alcohol. Uh, there's a lot of things out there that tempt us that in the moment seem good, but rob us of true peace, rob us of true presence because we feel guilty. We feel like, man, I drank too much, I ate too much, I didn't really exercise, I wasn't moving my body. And then there's guilt, there's shame there. Again, robbing us of peace, taking it away from us because we've allowed it. And what I want to help you do here on the podcast is equip you to not give away your peace, but to manifest it, create it, receive it, so that you can go into the world that needs peace more than ever in the way that we unfortunately are so destructive to one another. We need this peace. We don't have this. The damage that we do to each other in our communities is deadly. Unfortunately, it can be deadly. And that's not what I want for you. That's not what I want to see. That's not what I want to stuck. I want you to be able to live with purpose and make sure that we embrace peace to be a ripple effect across our communities, our relationships. And so this episode is about giving you practical application and understanding. I want you to take knowledge and make it into wisdom. Be wise by practically applying this. Look at your peace index in real time. Identify one area, perhaps more, but I would say just try one out of the 5. Is it your purpose? Is it your place? Is it your provision? Is it your physical health that needs improvement? This is a great time to look at it as we go into 2025 and set small actionable goals that you can start to move toward that. The thing is progress over perfection. So we're not beating ourselves up. We're not making this massive, shift because oftentimes it just doesn't work. But if you make an individual move and then another one and another one and another one, you'll get there. And from when I've done this in my work, my personal life, and I'm continuing to do it even in my physical body and making better decisions there. By doing these daily practices, it'll help you remember to make that your life more peaceful, and you're taking you're taking that role on of leading yourself. So, as you listen to this episode, I hope number one, peace can be found in each and every one of us at any given time. Now, the extent of our peace is greatly affected externally, internally, philosophically, the way we look and approach things. But if you want to dig deeper, go check out the Peace Index book or simply message me. I'll send you a direct link for the Peace Index assessment. And you can look at it absolutely free for you to look at and get an assessment. And you can take this assessment as many times as you want and start to see, where are you seeing trends? Where am I shifting? Hey, this is working, this isn't working. I was doing really good in my body, but that shifted, and I'm doing better in maybe in my relationships. And so you're going to have to look at this over time because it will shift. But you're going to be much better off leading yourself, not just this holiday season, but year round. And we can use this opportunity right here, right now, to help you move from chaos, destruction, death, things that are not helpful, things that are your anxiety, your stress that is just weighing you down, to a place of peace because you have purpose, you have provision, you have physical health, the place you're at and the people in your life, they all come together. And that's what I want for you. Apply this practical tool, use this peace index assessment, and become wise to who you are and who you're becoming. And along the way, you have me, you have steward your business. I can't solve all your problems in the podcast. I'm helping you, I'm pointing you in the right direction. But here's an opportunity to come and join me. We do group coaching every month. There's great opportunities, great resources that you can come into the community. So I do one-on-one discovery calls. I'd love to hear from you. Just reach out to me, David at stewardyourbusiness.com. Stop by stewardyourbusiness.com or follow me on any one of your favorite social platforms, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, even TikToks on there as well. So would love to connect with you guys and hear from you. I wish you all the very best. Have a wonderful and Merry Christmas. We'll be back again for one more episode here before the end of 2024, and we'll dive into that. But for now, may the peace be with you always. And no, I would wish you all a wonderful Merry Christmas. And thank you all for listening and being part of the journey as part of the Intelligent Human Leadership Podcast.